Hello everybody. Well, I just thought I'd share something, given that we are in these rather uncertain times of distance learning and trying to find better ways of doing things. Here's something that I have been wanting to explore and now have, and decided I should share it out. It'd be great if everybody could share out stuff they've got, if you're able to. Any way you can do it, I think that's a good idea. But basically I want to talk about how to create a rubric and to use it for grading in Schoology. One of the first things I discovered is that this is a very easy thing to do. It doesn't take a lot of time, and once you've done it a couple times, it goes pretty quick. The other thing is given how much time it's taking to do a lot of the other things, finding ways to cut down on grading time, this definitely does that. Third thing, one of the things that we are encouraged to do is to use more feedback in what we do versus positive and negative comments. In theory, depending on how you structure this, this really does use feedback in a constructive way. Clearly, these things are front-end loaded, so you are going to need to kind of create these and kind of decide what you're looking for. And once you do that, like I said, once you do a couple of them, they actually are pretty easy to do and pretty reasonable. Okay. So, first thing I need to start with is explain how I do my grading. Okay, I hit create assignment. This is no big deal, but I grade everything on 100 points. I feel it's easier for kids to know they got a 93 on something. They know that that's an A versus, you and I both know as adults if they got a 2 out of 3 that's a 66%, but they don't know if that's good, bad, or otherwise. Okay. And then I use the scale factor portion over here with error number 2, and so that this is a 3-point assignment, and that's how my assignments get structured. Next is, when I experiment with this, you can see I'm in my advisory. If I'm playing around with things and trying things out for the first time, very often I will put them into the advisory. Most kids don't see that during the course of the day, so if I screw up and I leave this published, most kids won't look there and won't take a look and won't see it. But now to get into the meat and potatoes of this, you need to go to arrow number 2 and you need to click on Grade Setup. Okay, so once you click on Grade Setup, it'll bring you to this page. And if we look over on the right-hand side of our screen, we're going to see the word Add. We're going to click on Add. We're going to add a rubric. So we're going to create a new rubric, and that's arrow number 2. Okay, so we're going to click on that. Once we click on that, it's going to bring us to this page. All of these things that I've got, okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4 arrows, those are all things that can be changed and modified. Okay, so the rubric title, what is it going to be called? Okay, in this instance, you'll notice on my next slide that it'll say discussion test, and basically just kind of this is a test item to show how it works. You're going to notice where it says criteria and add title, add description, so you can give the title of what it is you're actually grading for. Then you're going to see excellent, good, satisfactory, and needs improvement for arrow 3. Okay, these are things that you can add for your feedback. Okay, what is it that you're looking for? What does an excellent seem to be? And then if you look at arrow number 4, it's pointing to the number 3. Okay, it could be 4, 2, or 1. But basically, those are numbers you can change, and you can manipulate that. As I said, I like all of my things to add up to 100 points. Okay, so if you look at arrow number 5, okay, it says total points 4. Okay, for me, that wouldn't work out. I would probably change it so that it ends up being worth 100. And you'll see what this looks like in about 2 seconds. We're going to get to the next slide. Okay, all of these things, 1, 2, 3, and 4, can be changed just simply by clicking on them. All right, so if you look up above, okay, it says discussion, okay, and that's just the name I gave it. And then if you take a look at where it says criteria, it says academic content. So one of the things I'm going to be looking at is academic content. And I just kind of clicked on that and I added it in there. Now, normally I would add a description, but you get the idea. If you look at just below academic content, it says add title. Well, I put another area of criteria in. So if you look at arrow 2, it says it's pointing to criteria. If you click on that, okay, it will bring up a new section of a new area of criteria that you're going to grade the kids on. Okay, and so once you click on that, pops that up. You can modify that to how you want it to look. If you look at my arrow number 3, okay, you're going to notice that it says 50 points for that second criteria, and for academic content, which is above, it says 50 points also. So add those two together and you will get 100 points maximum. Okay, And then I've got 40 for good, I've got 35 for satisfactory, and 23 for needs improvement. Why 23? Just decided to do it to catch people's catch people's eye. And as you notice with arrow number 3, if you add those two 50s up, okay, and you go to arrow number 4, my total points now are 100, and that's what I was looking for originally. Okay, if you look at arrow number 5 for excellent, I did not modify that. I did not write down what excellent looks like. Okay, I figure I'll leave that up to you guys of how you guys end up doing that. And once I've made those modifications and I've made all those little additions, then I click arrow number 6, I click create, and now I've got my new rubric. See, that wasn't so hard. Now I'm going to apply my rubric and I'm going to use it. So I go back to my advisory class and I'm going to add a discussion. Okay, so I click on add materials and I click on discussion. All right, and then as you'll notice, okay, for number 1 and number 2, okay, so number 1, my 100 points value is still there. Okay, the idea of me setting things up like that. Then I added the scale factor. Now you may not do those things. Maybe a different way you do it. That's just how I do it. But what you do need to do is 3 and 4. Okay, so 3, you do need to enable grading if your goal is to give the kids points for this. Okay, and then you need to click on the scale rubric button. Okay, and it's going to pop up those options. And if you go to the bottom, you'll see your new discussion test that you created. And so I'm going to click on that. Okay. Now, and then I come over here. Okay, and this is what everything's going to look like when I've put it all together. Now it says discussion test. Okay, this is just kind of the name I gave this assignment. And then it says show how to grade content, yada, 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 yada. And that's just kind of where you would put your instructions, what you're looking for in your prompts. You know, you may have some type of rating frame that you give them. And if you notice for my criteria, there's the 2 criteria I had. Okay, so academic content, I just put in explanation, you know, kind of voice, word choice. And then I have a kind of a grading system there that adds up to 100. Okay, I did not change the excellent stuff once again. Okay, but you can definitely do that to what it would look best and would look like to you. And clearly, if you added, you know, let's say the kids did academically, they did awesome. They included all the things you asked them in your what you previously asked them. You give them a 50. And let's just say their explanation was kind of all bullet points. You know, you give them a 35 satisfactory. And then that will give you a total of 85. That's going to go directly into your grade book, and the kids are going to see that exactly. It's pretty sweet. And so what would that look like? And I'll show you right now. Okay. And here is what it looked like. I got rid of everybody's personal information. But what you can see here is I got my own kind of for first week of distance learning that the kids need to do, and I was going to use for grading them. And you can see I have quality and content for my criteria, and I give a little bit of an explanation. I did not change those. It's the first time the kids are using this in this fashion. But basically, I just kind of click on those points and click on those little categories, and that's what the kid gets. And you'll see it on the lower right hand side, where you've got the submit. But when you click on where it says grade, okay, it'll pop up kind of this rubric situation, and you click on what you feel that they earned. If you wanted to, you can type in some comments and show the student. You hit submit and go to the next one. It's really, really fast and really, really easy. Well, anyway, I hope this worked out for you. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you got any questions, let me know. And if you got any good things that you can share with the rest of us, that'd be sweet.